Welcome to another video with me, Veerle. Hello, I hope you're doing well. And let's get started straight away with a new video about what is happening in the sky and what is the, as above, so below, what is happening with us. And I'm going to talk about the most positive planet in the sky, which is Jupiter. Jupiter is a planet. We all have Jupiter in our charts, and I'm going to explain as from Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer up until Pisces what this new shift of Jupiter will bring to you. I mean, of course, these are general horoscopes that I do, so they're not tailor-made. Remember, if you really want to be specific, if you really want to know what's going on, get in touch, and I'll be delighted to do a reading for you. But let's get started with this Jupiter in Scorpio. And it starts, so Jupiter stays in a sign a whole year. So it makes 12 years until it goes one little round around the zodiac. So what we will have as experience is just for a whole year that it will be applicable. And Jupiter, as I said, is going into Scorpio as from the 11th of October of this year, and it stays there until the 8th of November 2018. For everyone it has a different meaning, so I'll get back to that in a minute. But what does it mean in general? Let's start with the ingredient of Jupiter. And Jupiter, as I said, it's my favorite planet. Why? Because it's a very positive one. So when people come to me for a consultation, of course, people mostly have a problem or a crisis going on. It's always very interesting to have a look at where Jupiter is going into the chart, where it is transiting, to see where this person finds meaning, finds luck, finds expansion, and finds joy and happiness. These are all Jupiter ingredients. So if we want to have a look at what Jupiter means, and again, we all have it somewhere in our chart, it is about expansion. It is about growth. It is about, so therefore, this is going to be quite of a positive video, I hope, because we're all gonna feel this expansion in the deep sign of Scorpio. So again, Jupiter is all about what we find important in life, where we find meaning. For instance, if your Jupiter is in, let's say, in Capricorn, you find meaning in work. Not everyone is the same. If you have Jupiter in Cancer, the opposite sign of it, you can find meaning in supporting others, in taking care of other people somehow, and finding meaning there, and hope and blissfulness. So we all have Jupiter somewhere in our chart, but now for everyone, it is in Scorpio. So Jupiter is a massive planet, it's the biggest planet, and it's going towards the sign that is incredibly penetrating, incredibly deep, incredibly watery, incredibly transformational. So Jupiter comes from Libra, that was last year, and now shifts into Scorpio. So we're all going to have that energy of growth, Jupiter, into this very deep sense, into this very transformational sense, and finding meaning there. So we all are going to feel some sort of a shift, and it's not bang on the 11th of October that you're gonna feel that. Some people might find it a bit before, feel it a bit before as well. But Jupiter likes to be in Scorpio because Jupiter is a big planet and it wants to grow, and it's in a watery sign where it can go very deep. And so where it transforms and can bring some sort of crisis. So we all think when there is a crisis, because Scorpio is very much related to crisis. But of course, when a crisis happens, something needs to change. And there comes in the transformation and the growth, because we all know sometimes we put things under the carpet and we stuff it all up, which is very Scorpio-like. We stuff it up and it builds up and it builds up and we hide it. It's secret, which is again Scorpio. And then all of a sudden, boom, it bursts and it needs to transform. It needs to be presented to you, have a look at it, and it transforms. So it's a very deep energy that we are going towards, and some people will feel it stronger than others, depending on if this Jupiter goes into a very important house. Like for instance, if you are a Scorpio or a Taurian, you will feel it stronger than, let's say, for a Libran, because of the houses, the house placement. So whenever a planet goes into a cardinal house, which is the 1st, the 4th, the 7th, and the 10th, you feel it more. So this Jupiter will be felt mostly for the people, the Scorpios, the Taurians, the, what's the other, the fixed sign, the Leos, and the Aquarians. So these people are going to feel it the most, especially when they have their points, their axis in one of these signs. But let's get started. What will it mean for you? Let's get started. So we have explained a little bit the Scorpio side. We have explained a little bit what Jupiter is all about. So deep transformational energy that is going on for all of us. And in quite a big way and a meaningful way. You know, you can have a little something going on in your chart, but it's not really meaningful. This is about meaningfulness. So and also very spiritual. You know, people with a good Jupiter in their chart, these are the coaches, these are the people that can support others, because Jupiter rules Sagittarius, which is the sign of seeing it big and having a big vision, and it's very fiery and very inspiring. So let's get started with Aries. Aries, for you, it's all, if you have a sun in Aries or a moon or certainly an ascendant in Aries, this is happening in your 8th house. So the expansion goes into the 8th. We all have 12 houses, and the 8th house is one of the deepest houses. It's actually a bit the Scorpio house. So having this big planet going into the sign of Scorpio is certainly, there can come some sort of a little or a big crisis, but it's one that you welcome. So it might sound weird, but that's how it is. You kind of grow through some crisis that is going on, through something that is taboo, that you have buried for a long time, that comes to the surface now, and you really have to face it, but it goes in a quite gentle way, because remember, Jupiter is a very benefic planet, a very positive planet. It can also mean that you're going to get inheritances, or maybe a tax refund, very good, maybe money that is not yours, that comes to you. Could happen as well with Jupiter in the 8th house. It could also happen because Scorpio is a house of life and death. It could, I've seen many people with Jupiter in the 8th being pregnant, giving birth to a child, and that has some sort of a transformational meaning for them. It has, it's like they transform. They become a completely different person. So if you are an Aries and you are giving birth to a child, there is some big transformation coming up for you, that it goes quite deep. On the other hand, it's a good time that you can find meaning in research, in doing research, in exploring very deep, in exploring deep things that are hidden, or getting a PhD, for instance, whilst Jupiter is going through the 8th house. Very interesting, because you're going to be very, very focused and finding lots of meaning in studying as well. It's also a very intimate house. So intimacy can grow. You find meaning in intimacy. I'm not only talking about sexuality, which is just a part of it, but you find meaning in those one-to-one connections, and you dig a little bit deeper of that. So very positive for the Aries people. A bit intense though, because Aries is all about getting things done and action. But it's quite an interesting energy. Next, Taurus people. Of course, again, this is not for all the Taurus, but for someone who's got the sun, the moon, or the ascendant in Taurus. What does it mean? Jupiter is in Scorpio, which is your opposite sign. So Jupiter, it faces the sign of Taurus, which is relationships. It is your love relationship. It is business relationships, if you have, business relationships. It is your clients too. So, and it's also the people that you counsel. So if you knit everything together, it's a very interesting transit. It's also a very important transit for the Taurians. As I said, it's one of the 4 signs that are going to feel this energy more than others. And Jupiter is about expansion and growth. So I've seen many people with Jupiter in the 7th house getting married, getting more clients, and very, it can be and getting new business partners. And all the people that you come across to during this year are going to transform you in a way. So very positive, yes, but they're going to pierce through in some sort of way. They are going to transform you, and it's very important for the Taurians to be open to that, because it's not always nice, is it, when someone seems to know you very, very well, just at face value. So you're going to come across against, and certainly when you are single, you can really meet the love of your life with Jupiter in the 7th house. Or maybe more people even. That could cause problems, of course, because you can have an interest in more than one person, because Jupiter means a lot. But anyways, whatever it is, it transforms you. These people transform you. They have they go to the root of the matter, and you learn from them. So very powerful people that you are connecting with, and that make you a stronger person, which you can learn a lot from them. Clients as well. If you work with clients, they are going to be Jupiterian, which is very open, very enjoyable people, but people's, it's crisis-like. So it could be people who are a bit in a crisis. But in any case, very interesting for the Taurians. Let's look at Gemini. What is going on for the Gemini? Gemini, this is happening in your 6th house, which is work, which is a very, the 6th house is the house of work, it's the house of health, it's the house of small animals. So over there, you can meet more meaning, you can find more meaning in your work, that's for sure. You can have more work, Jupiter is a lot, so you can have more work presented towards you. You can have work now that transforms you in a way that, or you could really shift from one job to another, but not from like you're an accountant and you work in one company as an accountant and then in another company also as an accountant. No, it's really the shift as like, let's say you're a salesman and you shift into, I don't know, maybe a psychologist or whatever. It's very deep and very transformational. So the shift that you're going to make, and if you want to make them, it's going to be quite powerful. Scorpio, again, is very powerful. So for the Geminis, it is possible that you are going to have different jobs, but more powerful, feeling more meaning in that job. When it comes to health, of course, these are general horoscopes, and I warn you to be very careful when you watch videos like mine, that you're not thinking, yeah, that's my case, because people get sometimes a bit very afraid when we talk about health. But with Jupiter there, it's definitely finding meaning in your good health or finding meaning in healing, because Scorpio is also very healing energy. So you can find, maybe when you are ill, for instance, and when you have a certain disease and you're struggling with it, Jupiter in the 6th house of Scorpio can really transform it. You kind of get the right cure, and you go very deep, and you have to break down in order to build up that kind of feeling. So it could be very interesting for Geminis as well. Or if you work in the therapeutical center or in the medical field, it's very, very expansive, this Jupiter in the 6th house, because again, it gives a lot of meaning and it gives a lot of capacity to be able to heal others as well. What else? Cancer. Cancer, it's in your 5th house. And for Cancerians, it's very, very positive, together with the Pisceans, because it's a fellow water sign. So you, Cancer and Pisces people, are going to benefit very easily of this energy. And the 5th house is a very joyful house. It's the house of the heart, it's the house of the heart chakra. It is the house of expression, of romance, of restaurants, cafes, and all of that, all the joyful things in life. And Jupiter expands that. So for the Cancerians, and especially for those who say, it's been a long time that I fall in love, for instance, or when you are single, this is a good time to meet someone, with Jupiter, the planet of expansion, in the 5th house of getting to know someone. You know, the 7th house is more, when I was talking about the Taurians, the 7th house is also a relationship house. It's more already serious. The 5th house is more the exploration, where a relationship starts. And so have fun, you dear Cancerians, with Jupiter in that 5th house. Could be children as well. The 5th house is also associated with children. But you find more meaning in expressing yourself, in having fun, and go for it, go for it. It's an energy that is very easy for you to tap into. So do so, do so. You know, you have a lot of Pluto opposing your sign, you Cancerians, so you can use a little bit of light-hearted, joyful energy. Hobbies as well. Find out a new hobby, or not find out a new hobby, but just do a new hobby. Leos in your 4th house. Now, you're one of those signs, the fixed signs, where this Jupiter is going to be a bit extra important. So for your Leos, this Jupiter is in the core, or you could say at the bottom of your chart, which is your roots, your emotional well-being. And Jupiter crossing there, even though it's in a bit of the crisis-prone Scorpio, it can give you a lot of benefits. It can give you a lot of emotional coming home, so to speak. So you could expand your family, for instance, with Jupiter in the 4th house. You could move into a house that is maybe near the water, because it's Scorpio, or maybe a bit dark, a bit between the woods or the forest or whatever. But it's certainly big, and because Jupiter is big again. So or you're finding more meaning in your where you're coming from, your parents, or you can improve the relationship with your parents. But first, there could be a little bit of a crisis going on. Remember, Scorpio is crisis prone. So first, because sometimes we think we want to grow and we don't want to do anything for it. You know, especially the generation of nowadays, without any offense, but young people, and I'm speaking of very young people now, they kind of, you know, when you're young, you don't understand that to grow, you need to go through some sort of crises. So to challenge yourself. And you, dear Leos, you could challenge yourself in your emotional well-being. You are finding a lot more meaning now in emotional stability. And it could be that you have to go through some crisis in order to get that. But you're getting it anyway. It's not going to be that difficult. As it would have been like Saturn going through your 4th house, for instance, which was the case a couple of years ago. So yes, for Leo, very healing energy, healing capacity. Your home life gets more importance and more meaningfulness. Okay, Virgos. For the Virgos, this is happening in your 3rd house, which is a very Mercury-ruled house. So for Virgos, it's a lot on the mental level. So your 3rd house is Scorpio, and for Virgos this means that this could be a year of more communication. Remember, Jupiter is a lot of more communication and intense, not communication like very light-hearted, which is also good. I mean, there's no good and bad here, but with Scorpio it means deep communication. deep deep information communication that you're doing, and that you it's a good time to learn a new skill, and a scorpionic skill, maybe something that has to do with healing, something that has to do with the occult, maybe astrology, even astrology, because it's also delving very deep into the depths of the soul in order to understand what's going on. So any kind of mental activity that has that kind of transforms you. So everything that you learn now, that you speak of, is extremely transformative, not only for yourself, but also for other people. So what you're going to say to others is going to make also a tremendous impact on them. So your words weigh a bit deeper during this year, and your mind is interested in not the superficial, well, your mind is already interested in not the superficial thing, because you've got Scorpio on the 3rd house, but now with Jupiter it kind of expands that. So a good year to learn, a good year to speak your truth and to examine things and to share that, and also siblings and environment could have a more meaning during this year. And what you say to others can be almost like therapeutic for other people and can empower other people. So it's a very positive energy also for the Virgos. Libra in your 2nd house. So for Librans, it's happening in the house of your resources, in the house of your confidence, in the house. So your confidence could go through a little bit of a crisis, through a little bit of a dying before you get born again, but it's a very empowering one, and it's a process of growth of your self-confidence. So if you are a Libran that is lacking a bit of confidence comes to you. Not immediately. When I say like the 11th of October, Jupiter comes into Scorpio, not immediately, but it's a process of working on your self-worth. And again, with some crisis related there, but afterwards you see that it was, with something bad, always something good can arrive. That's that kind of energy of Jupiter there. When it comes to health, you can gain you can earn more money with Jupiter in the 2nd house. Again, these are very general. This is general stuff. Again, you have to be very specific if you really, really want to know what's going on. But generally, it boosts up your finances, it boosts up your self-confidence, but not without, as I said, without effort and deep focus. So if you focus very deep and if you focus very hard on establishing more self-confidence, more self-love, you can really become someone who's now having the confidence and not gonna lose it so easily anymore. Okay, the Scorpios, it's in your sign. Jupiter in Scorpio, fantastic to have. It happens every 12 years, so very nice to have Jupiter in your sign, because I see it often when, especially with the Scorpio rising, that people start traveling more, that people start learning new things, or they start something, they teach, or they learn something new, or they find more meaning in themselves, basically. It could mean that, again, because of a bit of a crisis going on, that you have to focus a little bit more on you, because when Jupiter is in the 7th, which is the opposite sign, you focus more on others. But when Jupiter is in your own sign, it means that it's good for you to focus on you and how you can grow and what gives you meaning in life. And it will be related to your persona. It will be related to what you are all about. It could give a little bit of a gain. Weight gain. It could mean because of the expansiveness if it's your ascendant sign, but other than that, it is really, people are going to see you, because the ascendant is how you come across, more as an optimistic person. So when you are a Scorpio that has lost a bit and Scorpios are known for their very how would I say, realistic and sometimes a bit dark perspective of life, it's going to brighten up with Jupiter there, crossing it over. It's still going to be serious and deep because that's what Scorpio is all about. But with Jupiter, it's also healing. So a lot of healing can come your way. A lot of charisma for you as well, with Jupiter crossing there over your sign. You already have a lot of charisma, you Scorpios, but with Jupiter transiting it, it kind of expands. And if you work in the field again of healing or of helping others in some sort of empowering others, you can achieve a great deal. But so also favoring traveling and working with foreigners, and finding new things about yourself, basically, and finding meaning there. Then Sagittarius, it's in your 12th house, so it's hidden. The 12th house is a hidden house. It doesn't mean to say it's not there. It means that this Jupiter works on a more, and certainly in Scorpio, it works more behind the scenes. And what is it good for, the 12th house? It's good for research. So some Sagittarians could do well with, again, exploring, detective, PhDs, doing a study, doing some sort of things that you have to do in solitude, and you have to explore yourself, but you go very deep, again, of the Scorpio kind of side. It's also a very spiritual position here with Jupiter in the 12th house. You could find meaning in being alone. You could find more meaning in traveling far away. In Vedic astrology, the 12th house is about far away places, and I've seen that a lot playing out. If you work in hospitals, prisons, and so on, you could find a lot of meaning there with Jupiter, and you could do a lot of healing work when you work in closed environments, or even in a cafe, for instance. You know, the 12th house is all that is dark and hidden and institutional. But on another level, Jupiter in the 12th house could also mean that you find a lot of meaning in reloading your batteries and working behind the scenes a little bit. And it's good for writing a book, for instance, to go into very deep waters, so to speak. And it kind of transforms you. So also connecting with the unconscious level. You know that you could, because Jupiter is you, because you're Sagittarians, it's your ruler, you could get in touch more with the unconscious level of yourself. You could tap into energies. You could become a bit more psychic. You could become a bit more intuitive. You could become a bit more médiumnique, or how do they say that? It's French, I think. But anyways, you could tap into those energies and feel almost what is going on with you and what you need, and feeling good about that. So for Sagittarians, yes, it's a bit watery, it's a bit behind the scenes, but there could be a lot of healing going on with you as well. And connecting with the divine and with the universe is way more easy for you now. Because there is more trust in what is and in life, and that is very important as well. Then Capricorn happening in your 11th house. Now the 11th house is a very enjoyable house. It's a house of friends, it's the house of connections, it's the house of when you work for yourself. It's actually also a financial house because it's a second from the 10th. So if you're working for yourself, you could earn more money. You could, and actually quite a lot, because Scorpio again is that deep transformative energy. It's all or nothing. Friends, you could get in touch with very powerful friends now, or networking. It's a good time to use your network and to use powerful people. Remember, when Jupiter is in a social house like the 7th, the 3rd, the 11th, the 5th, you're going to meet people who are quite Scorpio-like, who are quite powerful, quite charismatic. So, and they can help you in your growth, in your finding meaning. It's also it's the house of hope, the 11th house, and it's the house of aspirations. So if you are that kind of Capricorn that has been a bit lost in not finding the right goals in your life, not finding the right aspirations, it's gonna come and it's gonna transform you completely. So your visions and your goals could become a bit more expansive, but still quite focused. I know it's a contradiction, but that's how it is. So new goals can come in, new aspirations that can lead, and especially next year then, at the end of next year, that can lead to quite some positive projects and so on. If you want to become more popular, this is a good thing. And it's not popular like with lots of, but it's quality before quantity here with the Scorpio kind of energy. So you could become a bit more meaningful in what you do, and you have a bigger platform as well. So if you want to make use of social media, for instance, again, this is a good position to have. And people and friends can really transform you now. And you could do that to them as well. Aquarians, you're again one of those signs that, one of the 4 fixed signs that is very meaningful to have Jupiter in your 10th house, which is the biggest point of the highest point of the horoscope, and which is career, social status. With Jupiter on the top of the midheaven, the midheaven is a bit of a second ascendant, so to speak. So I see that a lot of people grow tremendously in their personality, in their social status, and not only work. It could also mean that you, because of some sort of transformation that you're going through, so again, it could be a bit of a crisis, maybe a bit of a, maybe there's a reorganization at the workplace. Don't fear it. See it as welcome it because it's going to transform you towards something that is actually better for you, that is actually more powerful for you, and that is going to empower you as well. That is Jupiter going through the 10th house, finding more meaning in what you do as a living, in what you do in your social status. Also, Jupiter in the 10th could be marriage, again, because it's a key area of your life, but it's also your social status. So something in the social status could change, like a marriage, like also a birth of a child. Also Jupiter on the midheaven. I've seen that quite often. In a solar return, for instance. But if you want to go for the promotion, go. But don't expect it to be in a 1, 2, 3. It's very deep. It's very focused. Focus your energy. It could also mean that you are going to teach more.